now record. All right, all right.
Hey, we're back.
We're back. This is the Tinfoil Hat Society with
Dun
your
dun
host,
dun.
David and Josh Wime time. Um,
That's-
so I wanted to start. This show will be about Bigfoot and the Mothman and the correlation between the two.
Yeah, yeah, we can do that.
I was going to start out um with Bigfoot, and then since you are the resident Mothman expert, I was gonna.
It's been a while, but I still remember quite a bit. So we'll see how it goes.
Right, right. So I live in the Pacific Northwest. You've been here, right? Been up here?
Yeah, yeah, a few times.
Um, so you know like how like the wilderness here is like, is so dense.
Very, yes, very good.
The trees like being from Texas, like I didn't know trees got that tall. Like a tree fell in my house that was like or almost fell in my house, and it's like 200 feet tall or something. Like out there's nothing, right?
Right.
I was like researching some, and it's and a lot of the actual story of the Bigfoot came from out here, from the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Um, but you have the story, you have the Yeti, which is also a Bigfoot. You have the Sasquatch, which is also a Bigfoot. You have the indigenous Americans have a story called the Skinwalker, which is essentially a Bigfoot.
Mhm.
The Alaskans had the Inuit, I think we call the indigenous tribe of Alaska. They have their own term for it. I can't remember what it is. But all throughout the world, like Yeti is was it the Himalayas? Um, but the um the uh Russians have their own story of a Bigfoot. But there's plenty of countries that have their own story, which I was going to get into. The some believe it's Gigantopithecus is the name of it, which was um a 9 foot 8 primate, weighing up to 661 pounds. It's a prehistoric. um I don't know exactly the time period, but um or I guess I can look. um Uh, 350,000 years ago. They believe to live somewhere around China. But essentially, it was a giant ape-like thing, which they said some people believe there could be remnants of them. My
Hmm.
problem with that is, I think we're always going to have like our cause and effect, not cause it, but what I really believe it is. Like, I think that was true. You'd see more bones, and no one's
Hmm.
coming up. But the ape really lived. That was a real thing. But if they're
Yeah,
still around, like where are these bones at?
yeah, yeah.
Unless they're hiding them and they don't want us to know the truth.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, there could be that was one theory. Another one was they have to reproduce, right? They,
Right. Yeah.
yeah. So where's all the babies? Are they not multiplying? You would see
Oh,
them more.
that's what I was gonna say too. The
Yeah.
Jersey Devil is essentially a Bigfoot
Mm,
too. Because which there's some believe that maybe it was a Bigfoot. Yeah,
yeah.
where they made there was actually an X-Files episode when they brought the X-Files back. There
Oh
was
yeah.
Yeah, there was an episode about like Bigfoot's mating.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even in Florida, in the Everglades, they have the skunk ape, which is another one.
Yes, that was the one I was trying to think of. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, the Skinwalker, there's the Skinwalker Ranch, which is all like just nuts when you get into it. And
Hmm.
I've watched, you asked me the other day how I've seen so many shows and so many TV shows. Well, when I'm on a ship for 10 months,
Yeah.
there's nothing else to do. So that's why I've
Right.
seen so much stuff. Like I watched a whole season of Skinwalker Ranch, which is so boring. But one of the things that people have out there have said is they believe that Bigfoot goes through portals there from another dimension. I swear that
I,
is one
I've
of the theories.
I've actually heard that theory too, quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Which I mean, that one's out there, man. I don't think you can get better out there than that one. Um, uh, and what was the other thing I was going to bring up? But yeah, I think Bigfoot's fun, but I don't think it's a thing. I think you would
Yeah,
see it. I mean, and the thing about that too is they also think it's a bear that's standing that a lot of people have
yeah,
probably seen. Because a bear when it's standing, it's super tall.
yeah, for sure.
And that the stories came from people getting killed out there, which a bear definitely kills people. I don't care what people think. Bears kill people.
Oh yeah,
Um, and
bears kill people.
they do. I mean, it's not. I mean, I think Disney has made you think that bears are these like honey eating,
Yeah,
candy basket robbing, like cute little things. When realistically, they're apex predator that run faster than humans and can climb trees.
yeah. Don't go pet bears, people. Just don't do it.
Oh my god! Pet bear.
What do they call them? Turons.
What's that?
People, tourists that are morons. Turons.
So there's been a rash of exactly what you're saying of people trying to take selfies with bears
Yeah.
and getting killed. I'm not even joking. That's a thing.
No, I totally believe it.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
The Yellowstone Park people get too close to like the buffalo and all that out there, and
Yeah, that was recent, right?
yeah.
Yeah, we when we moved from, I think it's when we moved from Washington back to Texas, and then it was when we moved back to Texas before I came back up here. We went through Yellowstone, and my dog was barking at a bison as I was
Mm,
walking by the we had a Grand Cherokee at the time, and the
hmm.
bison was taller than the Grand Cherokee. And when the dog stopped barking, when literally the bison stared at my dog through the window, and it was terrified when it realized how big this creature was.
Hey,
You know, but
goodness.
segue into like, which is also this episode is basically about cryptids, which
Hmm,
the Jersey Devil. There's some there's a whole bunch of stories. People in the locals believe it. People have gone out there in the middle of the night, haven't seen anything. But the
hmm.
Mothman is what's so tell me everything you know about the Mothman.
Man,
You know,
that's a loaded one right there. So well, just to be clear, so anybody that is listening, that when we talk about cryptids, we're talking about cryptozoology, which is the study of an unknown species. Like
I
it's
think.
been, well, not necessarily.
Oh, I guess
Anything,
maybe not necessarily, but
anything in cryptozoology is any species that has not been identified yet.
right, because you're absolutely right because the chupacabra is technically,
Chupacabra, yeah,
yeah,
yep.
yeah, okay.
One of the more renowned, uh, I guess you would call him a scientist. That would be somebody to look into. Would be Lauren Coleman, and he has I think up in your area, he has a cryptozoology museum.
Oh, wow.
And I've been following that guy for years, and yeah, he has a museum, and it's a really good website.
You have to send that to me.
Crypto.
I'm gonna go check this out.
Yeah, so but he was one I would follow on Bigfoot. He had a lot of. I think I remember reading about him bringing up the mating and why is there not more, and why if people are seeing them, where are they going, and but I mean, I guess that warrants that T-shirt for the champion of hide and seek or whatever it was, hide and
I
seek.
was gonna buy that actually, sell it here, of course.
So yeah,
Um,
but yeah, getting into
so the
Mothman.
Mothman,
So yeah, so Mothman specifically, I think we'd have to hone in on Point Pleasant, West Virginia,
right,
where the original sighting was.
where they're talking about
Um,
in the movie, the
yeah, yeah,
Mothman prophecies.
and just to bring that up, that when I saw that movie, that was probably what piqued my interest in it to look more
Okay,
into it
and you
and
lived
find
in
out
that
more
area,
information. Yeah. Now I've visited Point Pleasant, West Virginia, probably about 6 times around there. It's on the banks of the Ohio River on the West Virginia side, obviously.
sure.
It's right there. Yep. But
There's the incident with specifically with the bridge is why the people in the area think.
Yeah, and I'll get to that in a bit. Let me kind of walk you through a little bit
Okay.
about Point Pleasant, West Virginia. Um, it's been known that that land is cursed, and there's history of that all the way back to let's say like the 1800s, where there was a chief that agreed to give up land. His name was Chief Cornstalk, and he actually agreed to give up land to the area. And so settlers came in and actually ended up screwing him over in a way and killed him. And before he died, he cursed the land. And ever since then, they've had a lot of weird things happen in this town.
Sure.
Now, fast forward to probably November of, I'd have to look this up, but I think it's November of '67 is when the first sighting of Mothman occurred. I believe there were, if I remember right,
Okay.
there's guys that were digging graves that in the graveyard noticed this probably 9 foot tall brown shaped creature that had wings and whatever. So, but then I think it was the next night or after that is when I can't remember their names, but there were two couple. They were in their car, and their creature was standing in front of the car, and so they got scared and drove off, and the creature's
Heard
flying
that
as fast
story.
as they were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one of the more famous stories.
yeah. But there was so many sightings between then and December of '98, so almost a year. And this is just the Mothman specifically. And during that whole period, there was the sightings and people reporting it. It became
Well, yeah,
newspapers across the country.
isn't there a sound they also say they hear?
Uh, there's everybody has different things. I mean, there's even one where this guy reported hearing a voices talking to him through the TV. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff,
Oh, well, yeah, okay. Well, or
but just like
schizophrenia.
yeah, but the basic thing to it, and then I'll get to the meat of the real stuff. This is just the stuff like
Yeah, yeah,
you want to hear, Hollywood wants you to see, and things like that. But
yeah.
so it all culminates basically um, December 15th, 1960, December 15th, 1968. I believe
Uh,
was the date that 47 people, 46 or 47 people died when the Silver Bridge collapsed.
right,
They were
right.
stuck in either people died from falling in the icy river because it was December and it's not warm in
No,
that part of the year, that part of the U.S. at that time,
not warm
and a
here.
lot of the wreckage from the cars and everything else falling on them and the bridge and everything. So
Yeah, terrifying.
yeah, when it's all said, I used to have a list of the names of everybody too. I don't have that anymore, but
But that's fine. I don't, yeah.
yeah. um, but the crazy thing is that after that occurred, there were no more sightings of the Mothman. So they were a lot of people from that point said that it came in as like a warning of something catastrophic happening, and but then again, it could have been something we shouldn't have been seeing or known about. There could be these other interdimensional creatures or whatever. It even came down to it's just the sandhill crane people are saying. That was a big one because
What?
it's a big bird with a sandhill crane, just a
Oh, it
giant
is
bird with a red eye,
definitely,
red
definitely
eyes. Yeah,
big. Yeah. They have red
yeah,
eyes.
yeah. I was looking at pictures. I had to,
Cranes have a huge wingspan.
yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
there
So
was one in the road like doing something and it's still stood in front of your car, but it doesn't explain the flying 100 miles per hour. So I don't know. I don't
I
know.
don't know. They could have been inebriated too and thought it
Yeah.
was 100 miles an hour.
Yep. And if you want to fast forward now to modern day, the even though despite the catastrophe and everything, the town actually voted, and I think it started in 2002. So we're looking at like it's wow 21st anniversary of the Mothman Festival that they have in Point Pleasant.
Oh,
So they do have a festival where they get 10 to what I was reading. I don't know if it's still as busy, but like 10 to 12,000 people that show up to this thing. And they erected it. I don't know if you've seen the giant statue online they have in town.
no,
I
no.
visited a few times. Yeah, I know you remember my old dog Frodo. Um, but
Rest in peace.
yeah, yeah. But I have a picture with him standing in front of it somewhere.
Wow.
So
Yeah, you send me that when if you find it.
if I can find it, yeah. But yeah, so they
Brody would
have that
not be happy with
festival
you.
going on. They've all that. So that's kind of the Mothman portion of that. But
Okay.
if you really want to get into what was really going on, you had to go like talk to the people that live there, and that's one of the things I actually had an opportunity to do.
Right, right. And that's why you're the expert because you actually talked to, and that's what I was going to ask you. Like, don't the people believe it, right?
Yeah, yeah. So there was a book that came out in 1975 by the author was John Keel, and it was called The Mothman Prophecies, which the movie was kind of based off of,
Okay, okay.
loosely based off of.
Great movie
Um,
though.
but if you would read the book, I would say he does talk about the Mothman, but a majority of it has to do with UFOs. The UFOs in the area was
Oh,
probably more of a prominent thing than the Mothman, I guess, at the time,
Huh.
where there's reports of seeing UFOs all the time, like
Are
every
you
day.
saying that the Mothman is an alien?
I don't know, but
Lizard people.
it could be some kind of frequency that was created to make you see it. It could have been, yeah. So so I went to the town, and I'd already read the book, and I went and I talked to there was a shop owner. I actually bought a picture from. I should have sent you a picture. I found it. I got it framed.
Yeah,
It's hanging
send
in
me
my
all
office
that.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So where I bought that from was, and he's like, "Oh, you like the Mothman?" I was like, "Yeah, no, I've been interested in it." And so we got to talking, and he too confirmed that. I said, "Yeah, I read that book." He's like, "Oh, you read the book?" I was like, "He's like, yeah." He's like, "Well, let me tell you. You saw the movie?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "The movie's just garbage." you know,
It was
it,
good
it
though. It's a good
I mean,
movie.
as a movie, but as depicting what really happened,
Right,
obviously
right,
it's based on a true story, but how
right.
true it is based on witness accounts and this and that.
Yeah.
Um, but you didn't want to make another. It's called the Mothman Prophecies. You don't want to make a movie about UFOs, basically. So, so what you have is he even said, yeah, at the time the amount of UFOs was insane. It was just insane. And he
Oh,
said, but the one thing that was the weirdest and craziest thing was the amount of guys in black suits that were here. So
are you getting into what I think you're getting into?
yeah, yeah. There's definitely a large presence of men in black at the time
I
during
knew it.
this.
I knew
Yeah.
it. Um,
So yeah.
which again, you brought this up on our previous episode, which is out if you want
Uh-huh.
to listen to it. Um, the I I didn't know that you were the one that actually taught me about how the story of the Men in Black and how the Men in Black are essentially aliens
Mm,
disguised as humans.
hmm
There is a an X-Files episode about that and how they're closely looking to to humans, but still
hmm
off, and how
Yeah.
they say weird things and they're always trying to get you to agree with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so in John Keel's book, there's a story, and I actually made the effort and I went and ate in this same restaurant. um, I didn't talk to I didn't really get a chance to talk to anybody there. I was by myself, and I'm not really at the time, and I'm a little bit better at being opening conversations up with people,
Yeah.
but at the time I was kind of like, I don't know, they probably get this all the time.
Wow.
Anyway,
I
but
wouldn't.
in the book, yeah, let's talk about there's a waitress that helped a Men in Black person come in. She described him as Asian looking with olive colored skin. And when he was very quiet, and then he did acted like he didn't know how to order on the menu, so he just ordered steak. I guess that was they considered our basic human food is steak.
We do love
Um,
your steak here in America.
yeah, yeah. So he just ordered steak, and then when she's like, okay, she brought the steak out to him, and he looked at it like he didn't know what to do. To the point where she had to like show him what the utensils were and cut his steak for him,
Hmm.
and then she just like eat it. So
It also
that was
kind of sounds
this
like
book was written in
methamphetamine.
1975.
Yeah,
Almost,
I mean, they had methamphetamine in 1975.
yeah.
Well,
But,
yeah, no, that's kind of the some of the stuff I've heard. Um,
yeah,
wow, that's interesting.
yeah. But they
Yeah,
were just all over the place in Point Pleasant at the time, and
and
that was the thing when you take Mothman Prophecies. It's a cursed land, tragic accident.
is it
You got Men
a
in
very
Black.
is it pretty rural around there?
Yeah. I mean, that's country. It's just,
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
right.
like literally on the other side of the river is Gallipolis, Ohio, and that's just not even a big town at all either. It's a nice little hometown, is what it is.
I know a lot of people um are moving out to West Virginia because in the area the laws are a lot better.
Mm,
And there's not many people. It's you know not many people out there. You know, if
yeah,
you're trying to get out of the city, it's a nice place to go to.
yeah. If you have money that you don't aren't looking for a job, I mean, I don't think there's a lot of jobs out there,
Yeah,
but
well, it's probably too cold for me.
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful state. I've been through there multiple times.
So in this
To
book,
live around I had friends that live around Charleston.
so in this book, you're saying that there's just they talk about different UFO sightings in relation with this.
Oh yeah, oh, absolutely. Just
Wow.
all kinds of things, UFOs, lights following people, just all kinds of things.
So that's a thing here. So there's a local news station that has a on their website they have it's for the weekend. They listen to police scanners
Oh
and they release what the calls are. Or maybe it's I can't remember if they release what the 911 calls are or they listen to police scanner. Can't remember. It doesn't matter. But they release what they're being called for. Um, and every single one of them, there's always somebody calling saying there's some sort of paranormal activity, UFO. There's always, or not, I shouldn't say always, but I've read several times where people describe a ball of light that follows them.
yeah,
We talked in the last episode that there's famously at I need to start writing these dates down so I don't look like an idiot. But there was the Washington D.C. incident where
yeah,
green balls of fire and thousands of people saw it.
yeah,
Um, and that
uh,
that was it was in the newspaper.
yeah,
Um, it was a green balls of fire. The Foo Fighters in what was that World War II, where the name of the band comes from.
yep,
That the German fighter pilots saw these orbs.
yep,
Jeremy Corbell put a video up on his Instagram called the Mosul spear. I believe I brought that up before. That
yeah.
it was this is weird spear flying through the air. Um, and like last time I was I was bringing up that the Navy fighter pilot off the coast of Norfolk um, uh, described what he saw as a cube inside of a spear, which is presumably the spear would be some sort of anti-gravity force field.
Mm.
And so maybe sometimes when you see
Sounds like the plot from the Explorers.
oh wow, what a great movie! Until you get to the end and you see what the aliens look like,
Like
and
redo this movie.
you're like, for real?
Like they look like balloons,
the
like balloon
first
animals.
the first half of that movie is like amazing, and then
Oh,
you
when you're a kid seeing that for the first time, you're just like
oh
pretending
I
you're
would
making it. My friends and I built our own, but it
oh
didn't
of course
fly.
oh I was just about to say I built my own in the backyard with like a I think you felt like you won the lottery when you had that one friend that got a new refrigerator and you got the refrigerator box and that
Oh,
was like the ultimate fort and I
it's so
turned that
much
into
better than any toy you could ever get.
I forget yeah and then I
Yeah.
mean days worth of fun out of just a piece of cardboard
Yeah.
but I definitely made that into a spaceship.
Well, those the DC UFO incidents were July 12th to the 29th in 1952.
Oh, more than one day.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was seen quite frequently. I do remember that.
I think they is it saying that article? I believe they had some planes after it.
They did. Yeah, they definitely dispatched fighters after
Well,
it.
allegedly the Battle of Los Angeles that I brought up before,
Oh yeah.
allegedly they shot like howitzer style uh artillery at it.
Yeah,
I'm seeing something out there. Um
yeah,
wow,
I'll have to
so
look that one up.
I did not know about the correlation between UFOs and the Mothman. I've never
Yeah,
heard that before.
what's crazy is that was like 5 years after the Roswell crash too. So
Well, in UFO lore,
if you believe
and
that or not.
if you believe that, right.
Yeah.
In the UFO lore, they believe that after the Manhattan Project,
Hmm.
um, that's when the UFO sightings amped up. That
Oh yeah,
essentially they're like, hey, maybe these ants over here, we got to make sure they're not going to blow up their planet,
exactly. Yep.
because there has been several claims from I believe it's the U.S. Air Force and the Army that these things were hovering over the missile sites.
Yeah. Yep.
Which there's a famous story where they shut down the base.
Hmm.
There's lots of stories of that. Um, Allegedly, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you believe that, it would make the time period worse. I mean, but there's the ancient aliens always bring up the Anunnaki
Yeah.
and how allegedly they came from the star people or whatever their story
Oh
is.
yeah. Yeah. Well, then they have like that that what would you call it? The carving of the spaceship man at the
Well,
Roswell Museum.
it's funny you bring that up.
Yeah.
There's several. There's some in South America that have almost the exact same picture.
Yeah.
I actually have that. I'll send it to you. That here I can even bring it up. There's sightings all throughout the. When I find when I f- There are sightings all throughout the world. When I find something like interesting, I come across like I always say, screenshot it. What were we talking about? Oh my god, long day. Oh yeah, here it is. Um, oh, this one's different. There's yeah, but yeah, here it is. Aztec, Mexico,
Yeah.
New
Yeah. Yeah.
Zealand, Olmec, Mexico, and ancient Egypt. They all have
Wow.
this spaceship looking guy helmet thing.
Wow.
And they all like I'll send it to you, like it's shocking how close they all are. But I mean, there's cave paintings of what looks like UFOs. The old Egyptian artwork look like UFOs. And Ancient Aliens has made like 20 years worth of explaining that every episode
Thing's
essentially.
still rolling, man.
They're still kicking. That's another thing I've watched tons of. We
Yeah.
On the ship we'd actually have Ancient Alien Day. We look forward to it. We'd watch it all day because like
Gee.
there's a day that on Discovery where they play it all day, and we just sat there and we sit there and watch it all day. And one of the guys that worked for me, he's like, I don't get it. They say in every episode that they just came out of a portal.
Like, just came out of a portal.
He's like, that's like their answer to everything. I'm like, oh.
Well, yeah,
Well,
or Stargate, right?
there's a famous, yeah, great movie. Yeah, love it. There's this famous in Alaska. There's this famous I believe it was either Japan or China. Can't remember. But there was uh, a passenger aircraft that had seen a reported to a air traffic control that they had basically seen a giant UFO. And that story that allegedly it came out of a portal. So there's definitely all these portal theories. I mean, they also think that maybe some of the transmedium UFOs that come through the water are coming through a portal.
Yeah.
I I don't know. I think you would.
Well, if we ever find a portal, that will always be a
And,
theory.
and that's my thing. Like, I feel like if that was true, like we'd be seeing more portals just hang. Like, oh look, a portal.
Yeah.
I mean, some hunter out in the middle of nowhere, sitting out there staring at the wilderness, trying to find a deer. I think would have found a portal by now,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe he did, and the men in black are hiding it all from us.
Or they just know where to put them that we can't find them.
So when you were out there, did you hear any more interesting stories?
Um, it wasn't too much. I did go back one time with one of my friends. I took him back. We went around, and they actually have a Oh, I did go to there's a place I can't remember. There's a record shop there. I think it's called like Criminal Records. That's a great name for a record shop.
Love it.
And that guy, I believe that guy had the Mothman Museum in there.
Mm,
And I didn't do the
of
museum.
course,
I
there's
don't
a museum.
remember. But he had a research pack thing. I was a sucker and bought it. And I was like, oh well, I gotta buy it. I was like $12, and he told me how to get to the site, but I didn't have time to go out to it was the TNT area is what they called it, where a lot of the sightings were at. I saw the road to get down to it, and it just looked sketchy, so I didn't go.
Yeah, I don't,
Um,
especially in West Virginia. I don't know.
yeah, but I had a packet somewhere. I had all the basically photocopies of all the newspaper articles and witness statements and everything else. That's where I had the list of names of the people that died during The silver, and they actually have a memorial of the Silver Bridge. There's a rest stop on the Ohio side that has like a link of the bridge, like one of the links from it, and has a memorial. And I don't think they have everybody's name on there too, but it commemorates what happened. So that's there too. There's a lot of stuff to see in that town. I mean, they're
Because
making
of
it like a tourist attraction now, so many years later.
the story in the movie, it's been so long since I've seen it, but
Hmm.
can you go into a little bit before this is over the what the correlation between the bridge and the Mothman prophecy is?
Yeah. So the thought between the two was that the Mothman could have been some sort of interdimensional type thing, or some type of, like I said, some kind of frequency that cause you to see certain things. Now, the theory is, of course, that since it's where they get the prophecy is it's prophesizing something tragic happening. I don't, and this is weird, but during that time, people would basically Photoshop Mothman flying around like the World Trade Center before all that happened, and all this awful things like, oh look, there's the Mothman. He was warning us, and I don't know about that, but especially since like when this happened in like 68, December of 68, December 15th, 68. Um, it you never had another Mothman story like that anywhere. It was never brought up again. So for me to say that the Mothman is a real thing, the UFOs to me was a bigger story. So, but with the correlation between the movie and that, the bridge collapsed, and they thought that
Didn't in the story they made that the Mothman it like told somebody that was going to happen? Wasn't that
yeah.
important?
Well, he was telling people because he went under the name, if I remember right.
Ingrid Cold.
That's right, Ingrid Cold,
Yes.
and he was just telling people whatever. And it made the movie like kind of just hard to watch because and if I remember right, John Keel was even in it, and they went to go talk to him because he wrote the book or something. And I'm like, this doesn't make any. And like, what did it have to do with Richard Gere's wife, like seeing it and going crazy too? The movie was confusing. It was just it did.
I love it. I've seen it
I
like
mean,
50 times.
oh no, I have it too. I mean, I have it, but it's just one of those when you talk about it,
Richard
you're like
Gere, man. He was good in
you
it.
get into it and you're like, man, what is going on? And you're like, God, this is crap.
Well,
It's
I definitely think what you said, they just wanted to make a Mothman movie and not a UFO movie, and they probably thought that more people are going to watch a Mothman movie than trying to
Mhm.
correlate the two to a UFO movie. That sounds a
And
little
they were
lame.
correlating the true events too. That was the thing.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well,
I mean, didn't even get, I mean, they can't get into it. Like, Point Pleasant is already a land that's cursed. They,
hmm,
they, they didn't do that. Like, I've been to Chief's Cornstalk's gravesite. I've seen
hmm.
it. It's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad you experienced all that. And
Yeah.
I definitely would have the same thing. This terrible story. Terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
Um, wow. Well, if I see any sort of cryptid biped flying around like a bat, um, so up here they have what's called the bat squatch.
Oh, I heard
Um,
about Squatch. Yeah.
not even joking. It's a bat that's a Sasquatch.
I believe it.
Even
That's
has a
terrifying.
beard. They have a beard named after it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen the
I
bat
wore
Squatch.
my Sasquatch shirt and I have my Sasquatch uh
Oh, those are
yeah
nice.
yeah
Those are Sasquatch. Those are like Hobbit feet.
Sasquatch feet, not Hobbit feet.
Oh, okay.
I guess well I guess they could look like Sasquatch or Hobbit
Depends how
feet.
big your feet are, I guess.
My feet aren't that big. So that was one of the things that people and they were making fake footprints
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and putting them in
Yeah, that's definitely well known because they were selling the cats for hundreds and thousands of dollars.
right.
Yeah.
And so I believe the documentary is called Sasquatch, and I believe it was about I haven't watched it. I need to check it out. But I think it was game wardens stumbled upon these. So essentially what it is there's these in California there was these weed growers. And it was believe it was a cartel, but they killed some guy and they put fake feet down there and basically for people to believe it was this Sasquatch, so they'd be chasing after the Sasquatch and leave them alone,
Yep.
which is
Well,
crazy.
you brought up, and we have a few more minutes, but there's one thing we didn't bring up about Bigfoot, and that
Hmm.
was the Patterson Gimlin film in Northern California,
Oh,
and that
the
was
fake film?
the famous, is it, because they've never
Okay,
said it was
so they've never said it. Yeah, but you're
no.
talking about the famous walking film.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was made in what, 1967.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
Northern California.
there's a whole story about that, and
There's tons. There's tons of
yeah,
stories. What? So you
yeah.
think it's fake?
Um, I this is my problem with videos. Why is every UFO video, every Sasquatch video, every like chupacabra video, why are they all grainy and you can't see anything?
Well, this was 1967, so they that's validated. They
I
probably
mean,
they were filming wilderness. They were on horseback. They came across this thing out of nowhere, and they got it on film.
yeah, but my argument with like sightings now was like everybody's got a camera. There is a pretty good
Well, we all
UFO
do have cameras now.
there's a pretty good UFO picture taken from a video taken from a passenger jet, I believe, and
Hmm.
it looked like what a sonic um aircraft. It was moving very fast, like
Huh.
a like a V shaped looking aircraft.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I gotta see a better video to believe it, or maybe it. They have all kinds of videos of like
Oh, there's all kinds.
of the sound, and the
Yeah.
sound sounds like sometimes it just sounds like a deer to me, of like a male deer in heat or something or whatever they call it,
More than
in
likely.
rutting or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Because if
I
you've ever
I
heard
can't. Do you watch the Bigfoot shows on TV? I can't even.
I can't do them. There's matter of fact, before we did this episode, over the weekend, I tried to watch one. It was like it's called like Killer Bigfoot in Alaska or something. I don't know. I got through like 5 minutes of that, and I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, one of these days we'll talk about the Beast of Bray Road, um, which is another one. And I know we're going to run out of time here, but I actually almost wrote a screenplay for it. I had the book, but I got rid of it because it
Oh,
wasn't great. But they actually made a movie.
what is it?
They said it was kind of like a werewolf type creature, but not werewolf. Some sort of beast that was just hanging out around this road, and
Skinwalker, essentially. The indigenous Americans said it would change shapes.
yeah,
Um, there's many stories throughout the world of you know people that change into animals or animals that start walking on two legs. There's definitely lots of stories about that.
yep. Well,
Well,
maybe next time.
do you want to do a little one after this, or just want to
Do
end it
we?
now?
What else do we got to talk about tonight?
Nothing.
Nothing. All right,
Okay.
works for me then.
One last thing. I was thinking, we could also do like we put it on our channel, but we should also like do one talking about just like movies, since we're both huge
All right.
movie buffs.
Yeah.
Because